Welcome to Go Get Great, the podcast for aspiring entrepreneurs and ambitious small business owners. I'm your host, Brittany, owner of Brittany Miller Socials and mother of 3. Go Get Great is all about helping you make life and business work together. You'll learn about the fumbles that helped get me and my guests to where we are today so you don't have to make them. So come join the journey with Go Get Great. Good morning. How is everyone? I am recently back from my 6-day vacation to San Antonio, Texas. I was down there at my health and fitness conference. We call it Summit. So that's what I'm actually going to be talking about today. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. I learned so much. It feels very transformative. I know that sounds a little cliche to say, 6 days, how much could you really learn? Are you really a different person? But it feels a little bit like that. So before I dive into the details, I just want to start by kind of giving you guys a little bit of background info so you understand what it is that I'm talking about. So those of you that follow my personal page at run_of_the_millers on Instagram, you guys know that I am a partner with Body, formerly Beachbody. And I do a lot of health and fitness stuff. We're going to call it stuff. Sometimes I call it motivation and inspiration, and sometimes I just call it personal accountability for myself and on my journey. But I started with Body on my own personal journey like 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Time is a concept I don't always understand. So it was in the middle of the pandemic. I had just had Rhea in December, and this was like June of the next year, and I really wanted to lose the baby weight. I was just not feeling like myself. I wasn't at home in my own body. I looked in the mirror and didn't like what I saw, but the only thing I knew how to do was go to the gym, and gyms were not open. Thank you, pandemic. So I found someone on Instagram, or rather she found me, and she was sharing about how she was doing these at-home workouts, and they had one come up and it was a dance workout, and I was like, say no more. This is what I want. I love to dance, and it's so hard to find dancing opportunities. So I signed up, and as many like to say, the rest is history, but I actually signed up for myself first. And then throughout that process and, the physical transformations that I saw with it, and also the mental transformations, and the fact that I was already sharing my journey anyway, I actually decided to step into coaching the following March. So it had been almost a year, and that was a little over a year ago. Maybe it was February. It was early in the year. Anyway, so I have been a partner with Body for a little over a year now, and every year they have this annual conference, and they call it Summit. So Summit 2023 this year was down in San Antonio. So what it is it's like a week-long personal, professional development, fitness conference. Don't really know how to categorize it, but I'll give you a little bit more detail so you can kind of get an idea. But I talk best in terms of timelines, even though I don't remember dates all the time. But anyway, so my brother and I left at like 4 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday of last week when I'm recording this. And then we drove to Detroit, flew out of Detroit into Austin, Texas, had a friend of his pick us up from Austin and drive us to San Antonio, which is where the conference is happening. So we got in early Wednesday afternoon, did like our unpacking and stuff, and then I got to meet my team for the first time ever. It was so nice to be able to like hug people that I have been working with and that I consider like really close friends of mine, even though we've only been virtually acquainted for the last year. So that dinner was just huge. It was so amazing to be like, oh man, like we've been talking online for a year, and you're like exactly like what I was expecting you to be, or like, wow, I really didn't know that about you. So I really got to know these incredible women who are also, moms, and some are full-time workers and part-time workers, and some are stay-at-home moms, and some are just on this journey and it's the only thing they've got going on. So we really do come from all walks of life. So that dinner conversation was just very mind-blowing to be able to kind of see how we're all so different and yet so similar and on the same journey. So we had dinner that night, and it was really fantastic to meet everyone in person. Like I mentioned, we usually just have our weekly Zoom calls where we're kind of catching up and chatting and talking about all things work, because this is a job for all of us technically, although some of us work it more as a fun part-time hobby. But so that was Wednesday night, and then the conference actually started on Thursday. So we had a little bit of time Thursday morning, and we did team pictures. You guys know that I love being in front of the camera, so I thought that was a lot of fun. So we did team pictures, and then the actual conference started. So we did our first workout of the day, and then we had our opening ceremonies. So there's lots of recognition for all of the men and women that are succeeding in this company, and we hear a lot of stories about transformation and positive impact. So it was really just a very wow experience, like right from walking in there. So the conference was in San Antonio, and there's a stadium down there. I don't know what it's called. I think it's HEB Plaza, but it's literally like a stadium for giant sports events. And we took up half of the stadium. I kid you not. I have a video of it somewhere. It's saved in the San Antonio highlight. But I walked in and I saw all of these other people who were here for this business, and we took up half a stadium. And that's just the people that like showed up to the conference. I know that there are many more people out there, and there's a vast majority of people out there too that have been impacted by this company but have not stepped into the role of a partner. So it was just really eye-opening for me to see the kind of magnitude of impact that we have by doing this. So I thought the opening ceremonies was really cool, and it was really awesome to see all of the recognition throughout the event. So that was Thursday. Friday was like start to finish a busy day. I lived on Energize for this entire conference, so I call that my magic mom juice. Sometimes if you hear me talk about it on social media, that's what it is. So we got like 3 and 4 and 5 hours of sleep over these few days, and we still got up and we did workouts on Thursday morning, and then we were in another info session where the company's talking about all of the new exciting updates that are coming and what we can expect. And I learned a lot too, because I tuned out a little bit while I was having rut. So they introduced a lot of new things. That was kind of when they were making the shift from Beachbody over to Body, and introducing like the MYX bike that I actually just got the other day. It's sitting in the basement, and transitioning over to these new Body blocks and Super blocks. So I'll just be real quick here. But so these new Body blocks are designed to be like lifestyle-led fitness is what I'm going to call it. That's not a term they use, but that's kind of how I describe it. So what it is it's 20-minute workouts, 5 days a week, 3 weeks of the month. So you get your weekends off, and then you have like, they call it up week, I call it off week, as in I am off my workouts, so that you have the time and flexibility to still live a life, and you don't feel compelled to work out every day. So I'm really excited about this new kind of shift into, they call them blocks, and then each month there's a new block that comes out. So, and they're all based on like the programs that they have on the platform already. So we just got to hear about all of the new things that are coming out, and then we were in more training sessions in the afternoon, and then we had some more team time on Thursday. Maybe that was Friday. I don't even know anymore. But anyway, we did 3 workouts over 3 days. We did many sets of training sessions. We had our opening ceremonies and our closing ceremonies, and it was just awe-inspiring. I can't say this enough, but to see the impact that we've had, I know that this company has changed my life. I've shared it before. I started because I wanted to lose weight, and then I kind of stopped a little bit after we got the house, and then I got back into it again after I pulled my back wrapping Christmas presents. It is like, it sounds absolutely insane to say out loud, but I actually injured myself to the point where I could not pick up my children because I sat on the floor wrapping Christmas presents, and my body was so weak that I didn't have the muscles needed to do that activity without injuring myself. And then, I'd feel okay, and then I'd like do things and pick the kids up, and then I just kept re-injuring myself. And I went to like my chiropractor because I didn't understand what was wrong. And they were the ones that told me, they're like, your core is so weak that the other muscles are trying to compensate for the activities that you are doing. Your body is not strong enough for this. And they told me that I had to rest and relax. And looking at my kids, I'm sorry, it's very emotional. As a mom, we want to love our kids, and looking at them going, mommy, pick me up, mommy, pick me up, mommy, I want to hug. And I couldn't do it. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. And I told myself that day that it didn't matter what it took. I was never going to let that happen again. And I didn't. It hasn't been an issue since. It's been a little over a year and a half. And that was why I recommitted to my journey last year. And that was actually when I stepped into my role as a partner with the company, because I knew that I needed the accountability, and I knew that what this company had to offer was exactly what I needed to help me on my journey, because there were so many different programs out there. There were so many different programs on the platform, and there were some that were specifically designed for women like me in the postpartum phase to help us rebuild those core muscles and the pelvic floor muscles that weaken during pregnancy and delivery. So through doing some of those programs, I was able to build my strength back up, and I've actually been able to go on and do much more than I would have been able to do prior to being pregnant or starting my fitness journey. So that's why I love this company so much, because it really did give me the tools and resources that I needed at exactly the right time, in a capacity that I could, I don't want to say handle, but that I could do. Because if they gave me a fitness plan and sent me off to the gym, and I was supposed to go to the gym for an hour 5 days a week, I would still not be able to pick up my kids, because that just wasn't a reality for me. So at-home fitness really changed my life. And not only is it like physical transformation, but it's nutritional transformation too. I paid thousands of dollars for a health and fitness program like a while ago, back when Grace and I were first together. We were living in an apartment in London, and I followed the plan, and I was losing the weight, and it was good. And then I got pregnant with Talia, and I stopped. But unless I used those recipes in the format that they gave it to me, I didn't really understand how to fuel my body and nourish my body in a way that it needed to maintain weight or lose weight or gain weight. They didn't teach me anything. They just basically gave me a framework and said, well, not even a framework. They basically just said, do this. And that didn't work for me, because I didn't want to continuously eat the same meals all the time. Like, they give you like a 7-day meal plan with a couple extra recipes, and that was it. And I paid legitimately $3,000 for this plan. And, it just didn't work, and it didn't fit in with my lifestyle. My kids wouldn't eat that food. So I've tried some of the nutritional programs from Body. There's several, and I love all of them actually. But those nutrition programs through Body taught me what I wasn't getting from these other expensive things, and that they don't teach you in school. They teach you about the food pyramid and eating your rainbow of food, but they don't really tell you how to do it in a way that works for weight loss or weight maintenance or gaining weight or any of those things. So it's called Portion Fix. I follow this Portion Fix program, and it tells me, this is the quantity of vegetables that you should be eating proportional to the fats. I used to think that I ate so healthy. I would eat, celery and peanut butter. I was like, oh, I'm eating so many veggies. Peanut butter is good for you. Peanut butter is protein. But peanut butter is also a healthy fat, but still a fat. So I didn't realize that I was actually hindering my weight loss objectives by eating so much peanut butter, because that wasn't something they taught you. They told you protein was good, so I ate protein. So just learning all of these different things has really made just a positive impact for me. So I know that I have the tools and the resources now to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. So that would was really big for me. And I'm getting a little off topic here. So Gray, I hope that you can kind of maybe cut and piece this together a little bit, but back to Summit. So I wanted to share some of the key takeaways that I had from Summit. I'll share a couple personal ones, but I'm mainly going to share some of the things that I really took away for kind of work purposes. So although this was like a health and fitness conference, I took away a lot of things that are going to be applicable to all of my businesses, honestly. And I wanted to share some of those things with you. I'm just flipping back to my notes here for a second. I took so many notes, which is good. I love writing and I love learning. So this was like right up my alley and one of the reasons why I loved it. Okay, so some of the things that I really took away from this is that mindset is huge. So I want to start there because literally every person that got on this stage, these successful women in the company, most of the presentations were from women that were succeeding in the company. And not to say that men aren't either. It just so happened that all the speakers this year were women. Most of the presentations were from people in the company and they were teaching you how to succeed in this business. But then they also had two like star speakers, I'll call them, come in on different topics. So we had Kindra Hall and Erin King come in. So both of them are talking about like storytelling and like persuasive writing and sales. So I took a lot of stuff away from that for both businesses, but everyone that got on stage, including those two, started by saying that your journey starts in your head before you even really move your body. And like, yeah, you can move your body first, but you need to believe in yourself and that the results you are trying to achieve are possible. You have to start with your mindset before you can really work on your results. So for me, it was like a really huge eye-opener to hear all of these people say that success in any business, truthfully, starts with your belief about yourself and your capabilities. Because I know when I started on my journey, I did not have belief like at all. I hated gym class, absolutely loathed it. I wanted nothing to do with moving my body. I thought it was a waste of time. I thought it was for people that were naturally athletic and sports inclined. And that was what it was for, to kind of help find those people so they could go off to school and get scholarships to be paid insane amounts of money to, entertain us on TV. That's my perception of sports. It's not fantastic, I'll admit, but that was how I perceived it. So I never paid any attention to any of that in school, never really did it or committed to it enough to, get that positive endorphin rush from a workout until I injured myself. And then I had to do it, and I was doing it for other reasons. But the mindset piece behind working out is huge, and just believing in the results, but also after you do the workout, you feel so confident and so empowered. And now even on days where I was like, no, it's my rest day, I'm not going to work out today, sometimes I'll even find myself doing a workout because I enjoy that feeling. And if I'm having a really bad day and I feel like everything is out of my control, like the mortgage rates that keep going up, oftentimes I'll stop and I'll do a workout, and then it like gives me this sense of control again, and it helps empower my belief that I really can do anything and I can control my own destiny, even within all of these external environmental factors that I don't control. So I really enjoy that piece of it. So that was my biggest takeaway. It all starts with your mindset. And one of the quotes that really stuck out with me is, commitment is doing the thing you said you'd do even after the moment has left. So that really resonated, because back in the new year, when we're doing all those fun New Year's resolution things and picking like our word for the year, well, my word for business this year is optimize and streamline and automate. So that kind of thing. But my personal word for this year is personal integrity. 2 words technically, but I really want to lead by example, and I want to do what I say I'm going to do. And that is not only in the little things of like, if I tell the girls I'm going to the library, then I actually want to take them to the library, but it's also, you know, doing what I say I do in business as well. So, you know, if I'm saying you should have email marketing for your business and send an email each week and create a piece of long form content and use that for your social media strategy, then I want to actually be doing it. Like, I know it works, and I tell my clients these things, and, you know, I would give myself excuses a lot of the time of, you know, well, I don't have time, or they have bigger teams so they can, you know, have this capacity. Be like, no, if I say that someone should be doing it because it's good for their business, then I should be doing it for mine too. So that really resonated with me. And do the inside work to get the outside result was another big one that a few people kind of hinted on throughout it. So that was one of the key pieces. Mindset. What else stood out to me? Just in general, how much work has to go into these businesses. Everyone kind of thinks that you start this and you get one person under you that just magically does all the things, and then you're just like stinking rich, and you just wake up one day and you're like, wow, I have a lot of money in my bank account. Be like, no, that's not really how this business works. It takes hard work and persistence and determination, the same as any other business. The only real difference is that you don't have to do it alone because you're in a team environment, and also the company gives you an incredible amount of resources and infrastructure to kind of make it happen. So that was something interesting that I took away from it too. We learned a lot about, you know, sales and approaching, you know, your warm markets and your cold markets, about finding your why and really figuring out what it is that you're in business to do, because that's going to be what you stick with, because it's usually what you're passionate about, but it's also how you can have the biggest impact. So yes, everyone starts a business because they want to earn money. Otherwise, it's not a business, it's a hobby. But I've been finding similar things in my business too. So like, I love what I do, but I hate the sales piece of it. I don't like going out and finding clients, and I don't like the bookkeeping, but I really love the connection. Not necessarily in networking events, but I like that's good too, but I'm still very socially awkward. But in the workshops and the webinars and in the giving people the tools and resources that they need to succeed, that piece of it specifically is what I really enjoy. And that's what I want to work on building into both of my businesses in the next little while. So I have so many ideas. I feel so bad for Grayson most days because, you know, I'm in business alone for Brittany Miller Socials, and I don't really have anyone to like run ideas by or like share my excitement with. So Grayson gets all of it, and you know, he's a really good sport about it, and he's pretty helpful in a lot of ways. So it's nice that I have my team to kind of talk about some of this stuff with. So we actually have a call tonight. This episode's not going to be up before it happens, but they happen monthly. So if you hear this and you're interested, but Busy Women Build Businesses call. So it's basically a time for us to get together and talk about, you know, what it is that we do, get people to meet our team. So these are for people that are interested in kind of doing what I do as a partner. We talk all about how the business works and how we make money and all of that fun stuff. So we have those calls, and then we also have weekly team calls that we do. And that's where we're more growing our personal and professional side about how to grow the business. So some of the things that I am looking to do in my business in the next couple months, for my body partner stuff, we'll share in like our team calls. So I've led a team call a while ago, and I'll be leading another one again soon. So we've talked about email marketing and social media basics, and I'm teaching my team how to do all these things because we all have different skill sets. So we try and bring as much as we can to the table. Some people are stronger salespeople. Some people are really good at the systems. So we kind of all share our knowledge and help grow together, which I really enjoy. And I'm going to be doing a call later this month with my team talking about how they can use AI in their business. So we'll be going over the basics of that. And if there's interest for those of you that are listening that are not on my team, for like a Brittany Miller Socials AI sort of training, then let me know. It's something that I've been toying with, but I wasn't really sure whether there was interest in it. So if that's something that you would like, send me a DM and I'll get that added to my workshop list for this year. Another takeaway that I took away from the summit workshop is kind of a piece about sales. So I did mention that there are a few of them, and they talk again specifically about sales as a body partner. But what I really took away from this was that customization and individuality and personalization is really key when it comes to sales. Spending the time to really get to know the person that you're talking to create a solution that is exactly what they need is kind of the best way to go about it. You're more likely to get the result you're looking for from a sales and monetary perspective, but also from a connection perspective. People really want to know that you have the solution to their specific problem. It sounds like super generic business advice, but hard to put into practice sometimes, especially when you have such a large suite of offerings. You tend to have one that is like your go-to. So in body partner land, that's what we call a TSP, or a total solution pack. So it's access to our online library of programs, and it's also an introduction to some of our supplement lines. You kind of get both together, and it's a really great price actually. So that tends to be the go-to. And when people are like, oh, that's great, yeah, like I'd love some more information, I'd be like, here, this is it. And then they're like, oh, well, that's, not really what it was that I was looking for, or not what I was hoping for. Even though we have hundreds of other things that I could have offered them, I oftentimes don't spend the time to get to know them and what they need. I'm just like, yay, someone's interested. I'm so excited. I'm super passionate about this. I want to share this with others. Here's what I did. But the solution that I needed is not the same solution that other people need. So that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me. And the same goes for my Brittany Miller Socials business too, because I have so many different product offerings. Every single business coach I talk to is like, niche down, take some of these off your website. It's too overwhelming. It's too confusing. And I was like, yeah, but I want to be able to offer that custom solution for people. But I sometimes, again, still don't slow down and take time to figure out what it is that each person needs. And not that I don't try. Sometimes I do try. And some of it's just that the client doesn't always know what they need, or what they want is different than what they need. So really trying to spend the time to like dig in and connect. I need to take that skill set over to my other business as well. So that was nice to see too. So there was an exercise that one of the presenters had us do at the conference that I thought was really good. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it's a valuable exercise, and also because I've been really into like journal prompts lately. You'll notice that it's come up a few times in my businesses. But the quote that they used before we started this is, "You will never find peace standing on the ruin of what used to be," which is a quote by Brianna West, which makes 100% sense to me, because a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could just bury this part of my past, but the past has got you to where you are today, and we need to like learn and grow from that. But it is still important to kind of look to the future and see what it is that we want and how we can work to get there. So some of the questions they had us ask along the lines of pursuing your future self and what our identity is. So the first thing is, what do you want for yourself or your business? So I obviously answered these questions, and I won't share my answers here just for time's sake. But so the first question is, what do you want for your business or yourself personally? Who do you want to be? I thought this was a really interesting question to get you to think about the kind of person you are, because that may not align with your business goals. So I want to be someone who is around for my family, to see the little moments with my kids, but that's like my mom want. But my business want is, I have this ridiculous need to like have an empire, which sounds so weird to say out loud, but I don't know. I guess it comes from insecurity of my childhood and like being bullied and picked on in school. Is, I kind of want to do like a big FU to all of those people who stomped all over the very little self-worth I felt in high school, and just be like, you know what? Like I did okay for myself, even though, maybe didn't have the confidence that I should have back then. But those conflict, because having an empire is time consuming. And I don't want to take time away from my family. So I have to kind of figure out what actually works for me and what kind of person I want to be. Do I want to be the kind of person that has an empire and works all the time? Or do I want to be the kind of person that supports my family and is really like community centered and motivating to others? I feel like that's more actually where I want to go. So I need releasing that part of me that thinks or thought that an empire is what I needed to feel internal worth and value. So the next question is, how do you want to show up? So I think this big piece for this one is in consistency and how I want to share my message with the world. So there are lots of people on there that have similar goals and objectives, but that go at it a different way. Like, do you want to be the tough love kind of motivational leader? Do you want to be the compassionate kind? Do you want to be the motherly kind of leader? So in what I was thinking, you know, like I want to be fun, relatable, I want to be aspirational, but I also want to be compassionate too. I don't necessarily thrive with tough love, and I know not everyone does. So figuring out how you want to show up for yourself is big, because it's going to help you figure out who you can serve best. And then, how do you want to feel? I think that that's a really big one too. So I want to feel healthy and in control. I want to feel loved. I want to feel like I'm making an impact. Yeah. And then the next question is, what do you want to build? Is it a team, a community, a family, an empire? Figure out what it is that you want to build and make sure that everything is all in aligned. So the takeaway from this exercise is obviously personal growth, but another thing that the speaker mentioned is that belief and energy are the two most important elements to building a successful business, which makes sense. There are some people out there, usually we call them con artists, but they are so persuasive because they've wholeheartedly believe sometimes in what they're doing, even if it's wrong. We were at Summit this week, and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and see the Alamo. And then someone turned to me who ironically lives in the States. So I thought this was funny as a Canadian, even though I was wrong. I thought it was funny that I knew the answer, quote unquote. And I was like, oh yeah, we're going to go visit the Alamo. We told that was like one of the touristy things to do while we're in San Antonio, aside from the Riverwalk. And they're like, oh, what's the Alamo? I was like, oh, it's like a geyser that like gushes water from the ground. And they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, we should go and check that out. No, that's Old Faithful. The Alamo. And you know what? We went and saw it, but I didn't actually have time to like do the guided tour. So I'm not entirely sure what the Alamo is, but from what I've gathered, it's some sort of like war fort would be my guess. But I said it with so much conviction that I knew what I was talking about that she's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Even though I was totally wrong. Totally wrong. But if you believe what you're saying and have the energy behind it, that's what gets people on board, not necessarily the correctness of the matter. I think those are some of my key takeaways. I did want to share a couple things from the two keynote speakers. Keynote, that was the word I was looking for earlier, not star speakers, keynote speakers. So Erin King was absolutely fantastic, and if you ever have an opportunity to hear her speak, I highly recommend it. As like a businessy person, someone that's kind of done a lot of this like self-improvement, business development stuff, I guess rather, she's very engaging in the sense that she has a very good presence on stage, but she's also a great storyteller, and she really brings everything full circle. So it was just very interesting to hear her speak, and she had a lot of really good points. So things like persuasion is really personal, and then we talk about how, and Kindra talked a lot about this too, how stories are what sell things, not the benefits and not the features. And like, we know that, but as someone that understands that concept, trying to figure out how to put stories into like copy to sell things was always the piece that I struggled with. I guess kind of fitting the puzzle pieces together. So she gave some really awesome examples about how you can kind of work on some of those things. So one of the things that she mentioned is that we really need to start writing captions more like we talk to people, so that it's more conversational and personal, which makes sense with everything that we've been learning. And then she gave us this pub method. So it's supposed to be based off a visit to the pub where there are no strangers, only friends you haven't met yet, which I thought was kind of a fun way to look at it. So P is for personal. So we need to make the copy about them. So you're supposed to write about you, but have it be about them, which I didn't get until she gave us an example. But basically the concept is for them to read the caption and say, that's me. So you're supposed to start with sentences that kind of catch their attention. And I think I've got an example here. So have you ever thought you had life perfectly planned out, but then something unexpected threw you off your path? So you kind of start with more of like a third person intro. And then in the center, you would put the information about how this applies to you. And then at the end, you like bring it back to them so they can like read this and be like, oh yeah, like that's me, you know, the curveball of I didn't expect that I wasn't going back to work and that messed with my life plan. And now I'm like readjusting. So you're kind of meant to connect with them on that personal level. So, and you're supposed to like listen to figure out what it is that they really need. So be genuine and specific in your messaging, which I thought was sound advice. And here's how she phrased it: show about you, but type about them. So it's supposed to be a specific story or example from your life, but it's supposed to be able to connect with them. So that was interesting. She did another really cool exercise that was telling people about like our attention spans. So they're really short, and like decision making is really short too. So she gave an example and it was like, never mind, I don't remember what the example is. Can you cut that out, Gray? And then she shared 5 magic phrases that can help, that are you focused to help with your writing. So I'm going to share these with you. I hope that's okay. I hope she doesn't mind. I guess these aren't insider secrets if she was teaching them to us, but so things like, have you ever, imagine that you, so there you are, remember when you know when you. So you would use those to kind of start, and they're you focused. So they're meant to draw people in right from the beginning, and then you put the I section of your captions and then the call to action at the bottom. So that was P. You're supposed to make it personal. U in pub is for useful. Is it truly useful? So this makes a lot of sense and relates a lot to what I'd say frequently when I'm working with people, is that it needs to add value. There needs to be some sort of something that makes people pay attention to your content. So whether you're actually educating and teaching people how to do things, or whether you're just entertaining them, or sharing your personal story, or whatever piece it is of you that's different and that people can't look up on Google or can't ask ChatGPT to like teach them, what is your story? What is your point of view? What are your personal recommendations? Are you putting that into your messaging? Because that's what's going to make people pay attention. And then B in pub is be brief. So it needs to be short and concise, still have your story. And then you're supposed to end with a yes or yes option is how she phrases it. So, you know, do you want this product or this product? Is it this vibe or this vibe? So you're supposed to give 2 positive end results that are going to get what you want. So that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. And then the second keynote speaker was Kindra Hall, also a very good storyteller. Liked her a lot. And so she talked all about how storytelling works really well to illustrate the value of something. So people buy the story, not the item. And she shared this really cool example, and not her specifically, but she read a study where they bought these like random items and then sold them on eBay. And then they put these like personal stories behind them, and they made like thousands of dollars on things that were like basically garbage. Some of them probably from the dollar store. And I was like, that is so interesting to see that stories really do sell. So that was kind of how she started it. And then she talked a lot about stories connecting people, and then she had us do an exercise together, and that really hit home. But people get to know people through stories. So you tell stories about your personal life, and then it's called story reciprocity is what she calls it. So then they like tell you a story back, which makes a lot of sense. I hope we can't hear a robot barking in the background. So I know from personal experience too in my copy, this kind of opened my eyes to it, but those times where I share things that are a little bit more personal and in a more storytelling way get more engagement. So I know I sent an email out a little while ago, and it was all about, me getting locked out of the house right before a webinar, and I kind of akin to that to, being locked out of your social media account, and that's why you need social media. Got a lot of responses from people on that one. And then I shared another story about how I was grocery shopping, and someone walked past me and goes, "Oh, I follow you on social media," because they saw my business branded magnets on the side of my car. And it was actually earlier that morning where I was working on my rebrand, and I had decided not to order magnets for my car because I didn't think that it was like doing anything for my business. And then having that experience helped me realize that it is generating awareness, even if I can't see the results from it yet. So when I shared that online, there were a lot of other people that commented and resonated with that too. So those were just like two very top of mind stories for me, and kind of how they did help me connect with my audience. So I really want to do better at kind of building some of those stories in to my writing in the next little while. So she shared a couple examples of how we can help find stories for our social media content and things. So she recommended that we make a list of firsts, make a list of features or benefits in action. So things that your product helps with. So in the case of body, because that's what we were talking about here, she gave some examples. So like the first time we did a workout, or the first time we tried Shakeology, or, the first time someone complimented us on our weight loss, or the fact that, we're sleeping better and we have more energy. So you would take each one of those things, and those are its own separate posts. So it's not a list of, this is why you should buy Shakeology because, it's full of superfoods and blah, blah, blah. It's, no, Shakeology helps keep me out of the snack cupboard, and it stops me from eating off my toddler's plate because I am more fuller, I don't know the correct word for that is, when I drink it. And I'm more full when I drink it, so that I'm not snacking and eating all of those empty calories that are not good for me. So we're supposed to, create a specific post about that, instead of creating like one post that lists all the benefits that no one cares about. It's all about transformation. That was what another speaker talked about. People don't buy the thing, they buy the destination. So like her example was, people don't buy the airplane ticket because they want to ride in an airplane. They buy the airplane ticket because they want the destination. They want to like go on vacation. So it's about how you can take people using a story through that process to get them to buy the airplane ticket because they want the destination that you're talking about. So again, in terms of, we'll use a social media example this time. People aren't hiring a social media manager because they love social media and want to do social media. They'd do it themselves if that was the case. They're buying the end result of having the community and more time to connect with that community because someone else is creating the content on their behalf. So I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. Very eye-opening there. So then you can also make a list of your customers and the experiences that they've had with it. So this could be in the form of client testimonials, but be mindful of client testimonials in that it's not just a quote. You actually need to like relate it back to like the story of why this person worked with you and like what their end result was. Remember, destination, airplane tickets. And then make a list of the most common questions and objectives that you get from people, and then work on creating some stories to kind of help people address those. And then the last one the last couple that she said, make a list of lessons learned the hard way. Those are usually the best lessons to teach. And then pay attention to past memories and present moments, and show who you've become, or who you are now, and how far you've come. So again, in the sense of like weight loss, or in my case, also like personal development has been a really huge takeaway from my time as a body partner. So that's something that I would talk about. Yeah. So I think those were some of the key takeaways that I found from Summit. Lots of sales things, lots of storytelling. I was really excited to kind of go because learning like copy and storytelling were all things that I've been wanting to do. There's a book that I really want to read next. Right now I'm reading, never mind. Yeah, I really wanted to learn about storytelling. So I'm just going to wrap up with one more quote that kind of stood out to me as I'm flipping through these notes is stop letting your fear control your actions. I thought that was really, really big and really hit home for me in a lot of ways. I've been avoiding inviting people to this opportunity through Body because, I don't want to feel salesy and I don't want to offend people and I don't want to be like rude and like all of those things. But in reality, this business changed my life. I told you my story earlier today. And I should share that with more people because I know there are other women out there that are, feeling lonely like I was, even though I didn't really talk about that piece of it, or that are struggling with mobility problems or not having the time or the know-how to make time for themselves as a mom. And my journey with Body has taught me kind of how to help women through those different phases of their life. And I'd really like to do that. So, I didn't record this as like a sales call. I just wanted to share some of what I've learned from my fitness conference and how it's also translating back into my business life. For those of you, most of you that listen are from my business world, Brittany Miller Socials. So I wanted to kind of share some of those takeaways with you. But if you did listen to this and you're like, you know what, I really think that I'm ready to kind of take more control of my health and fitness. I want to make more time for myself. I'd really like to learn how to fuel my body, or, what kind of supplements I could take to kind of help me with my energy levels and my focus and all those things. If any of that resonated with you, then I would really love for you to send me a message, and I'd be happy to get to know you in a personal one-on-one manner so that I can really make a recommendation that works well for you, because there are a lot of positive things that I've had come out of this experience, and it just keeps getting more and more. I just bought a fitness bike. I literally just bought a fitness bike. If someone from the future were to come back to me in my high school days and tell me that I would be a partner for a health and fitness company, I literally would just probably laugh until I was in tears, because there is not a chance that high school version of Brittany would have bought an exercise bike for her own house, would be doing daily workouts, would be like super into mindfulness and like meditation and personal development and all of those things that I do now, like regularly for my mental health and my physical health. Is just not something that high school me could have even fathomed. It just was not in the realm of possibilities, like at all. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I think it's a little bit longer than it was supposed to be, so I'm not sure how it's gonna shake out in the editing process and what Grayson might cut out of it, but I hope that you learned something that you guys can put into practice in your personal life or in your business life. And just thank you so much for tuning in and supporting my podcast. I really appreciate everyone that listens. So until next week, have a great time, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Get Great. I hope you found some useful tips and tricks that can help you make life and business work together. If what I said resonates with you, please share it on social media, and don't forget to tag at Brittany Miller Socials so that I can celebrate you for taking those first steps towards achieving greatness. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and a lot of spirit. So don't be afraid to dream big and go after what you want. Keep striving for greatness. You get closer with every step forward, no matter how small they may seem. Until next time, go get great.